I'm not surprised that this old car has been in a few wrecks. This side,
Patrick's garage.
this side of the car was squashed in a little bit compared to the other side.
You never guess that car was wrecked, but let's look more closely.
So now we'll check inside.
We find damages in the engine compartment.
And as we can check inside, we can see damages.
Cracks on the paint.
So now we know that the hood been bent.
And now we look under.
We see crack in connection of firewall and member.
Now here you clearly see cracks in connection of member and firewall. Evidently car was wrecked.
And cracks between side member and wheels housing.
Previous owners tried to weld it here.
So now let's measure the distance between the bumper and front plate.
In this case, 1 finger and half.
Then go to the other side of the car and measure distance here.
And what we see here, only half or maybe even quarter.
So that means one side of the car was squashed.
But what about suspension?
If you hear horrible noises from the front suspension that you didn't hear before,
First of all, look at all components.
that means that the wheel bearing has been damaged. Maybe.
You can spin the disc.
And it's almost always passenger side suffer more often. Because when you driving, you can see in front of yourself, but you can't see in front of the passenger as much. So passenger side usually hits the curbs. And it's still in pristine shape.
Just realize these things been wrecked in multiple times.
Almost everything in this car still original.
Original fender was restored. And a lot of times wires might get pinched.
And when you look under the hood, the venerable 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. I have tentative plans to restore the engine. And you can drive it until the wheels fall off.
Its engines can last hundreds of thousands of miles. You never see those anymore glass headlights. Do they fade? No, they do not fade. And they last a long time.
And then you wonder, why did car manufacturer go to the plastic headlights? This particular one doesn't burn oiling. They are so well made, just made to go and go. And yeah, these plain old tires. And the rims are rusty, but they still work. Indestructible old car. These back parts is starting to rot here. It's not horrible. There is rotten parts, but the rest is still pretty solid. Lots of legroom. People don't feel like they're cramped in. And just for example, Old Volvos are relatively well made. Old car is tried and true and sturdy. Well, everything except the coolness factor. How important is the coolness factor? Please let me know in the comments.
Now we need to replace the wheels. And do not forget that we should block the wheel diagonally opposite the wheel being changed. Jack point being squashed, unfortunately, so we can place jack under the frame. You know that frame welded to the body, and here we see cracks in the place of welding, unfortunately. Yes, passenger side very often suffer from wrecks. Spin the brake disc. If you hear horrible noises coming from the bearings, maybe bearings was damaged, but now rotates well. Yes, passenger side suffer more often. Curbs, yes, maybe these bearings suffer from hits to the curbs. A lot of people can't see in front of the passenger side as much as driver side they can see. Discs haven't been bent, parts thickness enough. Graphite grease. Yes, I'm using graphite grease. And I hope that graphite grease safe thread. To apply graphite grease we need a little stick. This good. And put little grease on the thread. And we install wheel. Nuts can be screwing start by fingers and tightening the nuts. Don't attempt to tighten them completely until the weightel is low. Now little lift down. Wheel can slides when we tighten it. Untightening the nuts as securely as possible. And lift down completely. And now we can remove the jack. And now we go to rear axle. We can take this moment to observe all parts of rear axle. Rubber brake cable holders never work in these cars. Temporarily can be fixed with rope. Transmission on parking or on reverse or first gear with case with manual transmission. Yes, little rusty. Not forget that contact surfaces should be clean. Put our wheel to its place. Original rims fits absolutely correctly. Oh, yes, maybe we forgot about something. Graphite grease. Here we also can use it. It's not only for peace of mind. Nuts really unscrewed easy after that. Salt and water can wash out our grease and can aggravate the situation. And now, eventually, we can install our wheel into its place. And try not to remove our grease from the thread. Correct rotation of wheel. Tires can be differs from direction of rotation. Tighten by fingers, not snugly, and starts tightening from side to side gradually, not over tightening. We need tighten crisscross sequence. And now lift down a little loose jack, so we'll touch the earth and tightening like we drawing star. Now we can tighten them snugly. All jack points rusted and mislaid, so it's a royal pain in the rear to lift up the car without jack points. I can't use original jack without jack points in this car, so I bought this hydraulic jack made in China, of course, and it can be useful for emergency wheel changing. Graphite grease, you see, At least this jack works perfectly under weight of this vessel. Again we see rusty thread, rusty nuts. Oh, you can use WD-40 for unscrewing them. Lower ball joints was recently replaced. Rusty surface everywhere. And now please make sure you're subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed to that channel yet, please do. Click the subscribe button and notifications bell so that way you can be notified as soon as I upload new videos about car repairing. Thank you so much for your time. Bye for now.